Yes, it is a dangerous area to talk into, Eamon, but in all fairness to the situation, I think the kindest thing that you can do for the child that's being totally ignored by their parents when they're having an unruly, antisocial, screaming behaviour, I think the kindest thing that you can do to a child is to quietly go over to them and ask them to stop screaming.
OK, that is your system, but I'm sure, Heidi, like a lot of parents, including my wife, I would have to say, including me.
No,
my hackles have got if someone interfered.
The parent first, I think.
That's what I'm trying to say. I would say, as Heidi will now articulate, if anybody's got a problem with your child, take it to you first.
Absolutely. I think, you know, we've all had meals disrupted or been on a flight where a child has been screaming their head off and we've wished that the parents would do something and get involved. And it's tempting to step in, and I really feel for Chris. I can imagine, sorry, for Kim. I imagine, you know, being in any sort of customer-facing job where there are lots of children, where it's family-friendly, you must witness all sorts of bad behaviour, and it must be very difficult to hold yourself back from stepping in. But as a parent and as a parenting writer, I just don't think it's ever the appropriate thing for a stranger to discipline somebody else's child.
Kim, was this based on a particular incident? You know, was it one of those things where you just had enough? It was the straw that broke the camel's back kind of situation?
Yes, there was a recent incident, but the Facebook message really was in response to lots of similar incidences. And I do really need to make myself clear. I'm not talking about children who are having a bad day or tired or fed up. I'm talking about hysterical, unruly, destructive, smashing up the toy box behaviour. This is completely different to a child having a bad day. If the children's parents are refusing to have a word with their child, or at best ignoring the situation, then that really doesn't leave me no other option but to have a quiet word with the child. And of course it's always done very gently, very sensitively. I normally come down to their level, kneel right down close to them. I will ask them politely, please will you stop screaming, would you like a drink, and would you like to draw me a nice picture?
I have to say,
and
Kim,
normally after that peace does resume.
Yeah, I think you're a brave woman. Have you had parents then who've witnessed you telling off their child and then had a go at you?
No, never. And I've never asked a family to leave the premises because, you know, it's something that we can work out together. We've never asked a family to leave.
So it seems to work for Kim.
Well, but I think a really important factor to consider here is that I wrote about this for a parenting website, Playpennies, and the parents responded to tell us overwhelmingly that if you have a child who has autism or other disabilities that aren't obvious, you wouldn't know that a child suffers from a condition like that just by looking at them. It can look as if a child is being disruptive or badly behaved, and it can look as if a parent is doing nothing or is disinterested, but actually there may be something much more nuanced going on.
So could
and
you
for a
give
stranger
me
to step in is just not
an alternative, whether that is the case or whether that is not the case? What do you think a better approach would be?
Well, I think we've heard lots of stories, haven't we, of maybe on flights where a stranger will say to a parent, can I take your baby for a second? I can see you're having a bad day. Do you want me to walk up and down the gangway? Help, offer support. You know, perhaps Kim could have said, I can see it's not going well for you. Would you like a pot of tea? You know, a slice of extra cake while you gather yourself?
You know, I feel for Kim because if you're running an establishment like this, and you see it so often in restaurants and cafes, of kids literally running riot, running around and screaming and playing when there are people carrying hot drinks and hot food. So often it's not even just about irritating behaviour, it's about dangerous behaviour.
Do you know what where the worst area is? And Ruth and I have just experienced this. When you go on holiday and you're in the, what would you call it, the breakfast bar, the breakfast in the morning, when everybody goes down for the breakfast.
The breakfast buffet, they call it.
The buffet, the breakfast buffet. People allow their children to run riot. And that's where you think you need a Kim. You need a Kim there to sort that out, looking like Terminator, looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger there in her glasses.
Kim, we said there was a lot of controversy about this, a lot of people posting like, oh, you know, you should be more understanding. Have you had much support too?
I really have, yes. Initially, the response was a lot of hate speech on our Facebook page, which is why we had to close it down due to the amount of hate speech. I am aware that there is a couple of fake Facebook pages out there. That is not anything to do with us, South Kiosk at Martello Park. So initially the response was overwhelmingly awful, but then as time moved on, people did show their support. And I would just like to share with you just one very small response from one of our supporters, if that's okay with you, Ruth.
Yeah, sure.
I've been trying to find a way to contact you all day to show my support. I've never visited the area or your cafe, but I'm sure it's top quality. I admire your bravery for putting forth an issue nobody has ever dared to admit in public. If anything, it shows how much you value your customers, which is rare these days. I am very sorry for all the abuse you've received, but it just shows who is really in the wrong here. You started a debate, and thankfully there are a few people out there willing to start a sober, civilised dialogue over the issue. I have nothing but respect for you, and I wish you all the very best.
OK, that's Kim Christofi there. Is she talking sense? Is she being brave? Or is she just entering dangerous territory where we shouldn't go? And Heidi, from your point of view, you've been very measured on this. Can you see some people will just not hear a word against children? They talk to children as if they're adults and whatever. People approach parenting in different ways. Do you see any place for segregation? Family-only areas, adult-only areas?
Absolutely, I do, and I think that's to the benefit of everybody, children and grown-ups alike. I have a birthday coming up soon, and my plan is to go to my favourite restaurant, which is not child-friendly. In fact, children are not allowed to this restaurant, and I'm okay with that because we'll have a very grown-up celebration. You know, I won't be mum for an evening, and that's really important. But obviously, I want to also celebrate that day with my kids, and so we'll go somewhere appropriate where the children can be children without people sort of making them feel unwelcome.
Well, it's
I really appreciate
great
your
topic.
take on
It's
things.
got everybody talking this morning.